If you've got family coming and want a delicious make-ahead breakfast that is going to make your life easier and impress your guests, I've got you covered. My name's Larissa, and today I'm going to show you how to make this amazing maple glazed French toast casserole. You pop it in the freezer, and when you're ready for it, you can put it in the oven and you have a fresh, hot, delicious breakfast meal at your fingertips. This recipe is from Karrie Truman's website, Happy Money Saver, and I will link to this recipe on her website as well as to her cookbook. It is phenomenal, and I use a lot of recipes from it. Her make-ahead meals are gold. So here's what you do. You take a 9 by 13 container. You can get these guys at the dollar store. I get mine from Costco. You can order them from Amazon. Just any old 9 by 13 pan. Or if you have a glass one at home, definitely use that. We start by taking some butter and lightly going over the pan so the stuff doesn't stick. Once your pan is ready, set it aside, and you're going to grab 9 slices of brioche loaf. This is the one that I'm using today, but you do you, boo. You're going to take the bread and slice them in half diagonally. So this is what it's going to look like. And then using unsalted butter, you're going to lightly butter one side of each of these slices of toast. Then you're going to place the buttered side up in the pan. You don't have to be too fussy about how much bread is buttered, how evenly it's distributed. It's all going to get, covered in eggs and milk and stuff. I feel like on her website, Karrie's looks very neat and presentable. Mine is not as neat and tidy. I just chuck the slices of bread in there and they are not neatly crisscrossed or anything. And it's fine. It's still delicious. I kind of feel like it's going to get covered in glaze anyway, so who cares? So now that I've got all of the triangles slightly buttered and tossed into the container, I'm going to start making the filling. To a medium bowl, I am going to put 5 eggs. Shazam. Okay, I need my glasses for this. You know that moment when you realize that you did not think this through? Brain injury. Good enough. So the eggs get a little bit of a mix, and then I am adding 3 cups. You read that right. 3 cups of half and half cream. Next, I'm going to add a whole tablespoon of vanilla extract. Man, that always looks like a lot of vanilla extract, but it tastes good, so we will keep it. I feel like it takes me a long time to get through a bag of cinnamon or a bag of nutmeg, so it's always exciting to me when I'm ready to open a new bag of spices. Yay! I'm adding half a teaspoon of nutmeg, but my teaspoon is a little light because I'm not that nuts about nutmeg. Nuts about nutmeg. And then 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I'm going to stir this a little bit just to mix in the nutmeg and the cinnamon. The vanilla does this thing. As soon as I put it in, it kind of like, it looks like a little mini volcano happening. It doesn't come out of the bowl. It just seems to mix itself. Cinnamon's hydrophobic, so this may take a hot second. And maybe if there's a science teacher that's watching this, you could tell me why the vanilla does that thing where it kind of mixes itself in with the cream and the eggs. So once you're done, I'm going to get rid of my whisk. I'm going to take the bowl with the egg and the cream mixture and dump it right over top of all of the bread. So now I've got a piece of saran wrap, and I'm just going to kind of push it down so that it touches the bread so that I get as tight a seal as possible. Remember though that you are going to need to take the plastic wrap off of this before you put it into the oven. So don't tuck it in, which I probably should be obvious, but learn from my experience. So now that the base is ready to go into the freezer, I'm going to move this out of my way and get started on the glaze, because we're going to do this all today. The prep is happening today. This is all going into the freezer. And then Christmas morning, when I pull it out of the freezer, I will have 2 minutes worth of work to do instead of however long it takes to assemble one of these guys. So now onto the great stuff, the glaze. We start with a tablespoon of melted butter, and then we add in 2 tablespoons of milk, 1 teaspoon of corn syrup, and half a teaspoon of maple extract. There is an amazing maple cookie recipe from Better Homes and Gardens. I think it's on their website still. It's called Kathy's Maple Cookies, and I make them multiple times a year. They were my grandmother's favorite cookies. I'll link it in the description if I can find it. They are awesome, and I go through an awful lot of maple extract, making the icing and the cookies. The smell is so good. And now we're gonna whisk in a cup of powdered sugar. And we're gonna put the glaze into a bag. Because I'm doing this ahead of time, I'm going to close the bag and try to smush out as much air as possible. And then I'm going to take this lovely little packet and I'm going to put it right on top of the container. So now that I've got my casserole and the glaze here, I'm going to take tin foil and place it on top. So I'm going to pop this into the freezer. It's going to be delicious next week. I'm going to preheat the oven to 350 and I'm going to bake it for an hour. And you'll need to check it, make sure that it's the same in your oven. And then once it's done, just as if I were doing it fresh, I will take this out of the oven, let it sit, cool down a little bit before I add the glaze drizzle. When you defrost the glaze, if it is too thick, you can just add in a little bit more milk. And if it's too thin or runny, you can add in more powdered sugar to thicken it. You could make this the night before, so it needs to sit for 6 hours or overnight for all of the eggy goodness to soak into the bread. If you put your casserole into the fridge overnight, you're going to bake it at 350 for 40 minutes the next day. Then you're going to take it out of the oven, let it cool down for 5 to 10 minutes before adding the glaze. I think this is a fun way of participating. If you're going to somebody's house for Christmas, or if people are coming over and you want to be involved, but you find on the day of, all of your energy is going to be zapped by spending time with people and chatting with people and trying to keep up with the conversation. This way, you've got something delicious that you can make ahead of time, and it still tastes and feels like it's a fresh, hot, something special for Christmas morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. If this was helpful, I hope you'll give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all the things that help us here on YouTube, and share it with a friend. The holidays can be really difficult, and I hope that this eases some of the burden on you. Let us know in the comments below if you tried out the recipe and what changes you would make, if you used maple extract in the icing glaze or if you use a different extract. I'm sure you could try it with caramel, with butterscotch, with all the different fun flavors that are out there. Thanks so much. Happy holidays, and remember that you are not alone in your concussion.